Hey everyone, today's May 3rd, the third day of Mental Health Awareness Month, and I'm very excited to be continuing with this Mental Health Awareness Month series. And today's guest is Chris Pan, and so we'll wait a moment for Chris to show up and I'll link him in. Chris is an entrepreneur. He's a great friend of mine, and he is one of the sweetest people you'll ever meet. He's the creator of MyIntent, and I believe he's going to be joining us from the MyIntent page. So let's see. Let me bring him on. Thank you guys for coming.
Hello. Hi, happy Sunday.
Yeah, happy May 3rd. I like your Christmas tree there in the background. Oh, that was so nice. You've got a great setup over there.
Brand new. I just did it like this afternoon.
Oh yeah, so how on earth could you possibly not play with it when you're doing a live?
Yeah, not the Christmas lights. That's been up since October, but the this podcasting live guitar music setup.
Yeah, that guitar is totally tuning in. It sounds great. It's totally coming in, totally coming through.
It's fun. So yeah, we could do sing-alongs. We could do whatever you want to do.
I love that. I love that. You know, one of the things you and I recently did together was we sang that song, I think, right, at the Love Storm. Yeah,
correct.
In front of the city, in front of city council, city hall, Los Angeles City Hall.
That was so cool. Putting the energy out there.
Yeah, that was so fun. Yeah. Okay, so first I want to hear about the Christmas decorations.
Okay. The initial answer is I was too lazy to take it down. But then I thought, why not have it up to remind us that Christmas, the spirit of Christmas, can be with us all the time, which is actually so appropriate given your book.
Oh, yeah, totally. Yeah, it's so appropriate given my book. And honestly, I love when you can put a positive psychological spin on laziness. Like so that totally works. And I mean, for me, that's great. I love Christmas, and you know, the pine tree, the Christmas tree is symbolic of the spine, and the star or the angel at the top is the illuminated crown chakra, and it's a pine tree traditionally in reference to the pineal gland. You know.
Wow.
So it actually has some really deep, beautiful meaning. It's a great reminder, a great thing to have up. So
beautiful.
I'm for it.
I'm too lazy to take it down, but it just feels nice when you walk in the house. It's always Christmas. There's always presents to be had, and yeah.
I love that. Yeah. And so, okay, so let's talk a little bit about, it's Mental Health Awareness Month, and and you know, you're doing something. You have a couple of cool things going on. First of all, you are the creator of MyIntent, and I'd love for you to talk a little bit about MyIntent. And then the next thing is you are doing more than most to support public mental health. You know, and so I would love to hear about those two things. So tell us about MyIntent, where it came from and what it is.
MyIntent came from when I was at a retreat center called the Hoffman Process. It was 7 days of deep inner work, about 15, 16 hours a day. So they call it a year of therapy in a week, which I'm all for that kind of, you know, I just want to get it done, right?
Very
I don't want to have to go wait. I'm a little impatient, as many of us are. So I did that. And on the second to last day, I think it was January 11th, 2013, I just had this realization that the world needs this type of experience, this type of inner work. Most people don't have $5,000 in a week of time, which is what it costs to do a full session there. And I thought if I could create something that would be like a microdose version of that, or like an appetizer version of that, just a little something, then that would be really cool. So that was the intention. 8 months later, a friend named Ingrid taught me how to make bracelets. And then I moved to LA because this pastor named Jason Ma, he said, you need to move to LA and help people. He said, God has a message for you.
Ma.
Oh, you know him?
Yeah.
Yeah. What a guy, right?
Yeah, what a guy. Cool. I had no clue that you were like linked in with Jason Ma. He's
Well,
great.
I literally met him on a Sunday, and then he came over on a Tuesday to have lunch with me, and then he told me I was about to buy a house in San Francisco. He said, no, you need to move to LA and help people in LA. So I started exploring that idea. Moved down here the summer of 2013. Started hosting events at a house that I nicknamed Spirit Lab because I wanted to be a place where we could practice uplifting our spirit in kind of very simple, easily accessible ways, like singing, dancing, meditating, yoga, like nothing, out of the ordinary really. But the intention was very clear that we would do these things with the idea that it would help us feel better, natural highs. And we'd also make bracelets and we'd ask each other, what's your word? And it turned out that the really unique part there was the asking of each other of their word. That conversational piece was really unique in our society where we tend to do a lot of small talk. And then we'd make each other a bracelet, which with so many distractions that we all have, we forget. I mean, I remember a very experienced yoga teacher wanted the word breathe. And I was like, really? Like, you need a reminder of that? She's like, yeah, actually I do. So
Yeah.
who am I to judge, right? But that just kind of taught me that even though we all know something, we don't necessarily practice it.
Right, right. And that's where the rubber meets the road is really like putting it into practice. It's like it's one thing to really know it. It's another thing to actually demonstrate it through behavior. And then it's even another thing to demonstrate it behaviorally so in such a way that it manifests as a habit. It becomes a way of life. And so
I
that's
always
what
say, yeah. I mean, I
keep
always
on.
say if you want to, be in good shape, just because you ran a lot a year ago doesn't mean you're in good shape today, unless you're constantly doing it. And I think I think there's no shortage of knowledge in the world. There's a shortage of practice.
Yes, I completely agree. I completely agree. Yeah, I mean, for me, and I relate to that in my work, where I just like you, I had had a series of really advanced uh, personal awakening experiences, and then what I wanted to do is sort of offer, like I like what you said about my intent being an appetizer or a microdose. That's what I wanted too. I wanted to create a microdose, and that's what I did with my book Practical Meditation for Beginners. Is I wasn't trying to teach something I didn't know, or bring someone through the experience that I went through, because more advanced people and more advanced beings took me through that. But what I was sort of qualified to do was the microdose, was the appetizer.
It's all about making it accessible because
Yeah,
people are busy and they don't necessarily have the week of time or the money or, whatnot. But,
right.
or in your case, I mean, there could be people that have preconceived notions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's what I loved about what you've done is you keep it really, really simple. The question is, what's your word? And the elaboration on that is, what is your intention? What are you intending? And then then the custom bracelets are made, and now there's necklaces as well. But the custom product is made, and it has one word on it, or one, sometimes two,
Yeah. Let
maybe
me get one so
three
people can
short
see it.
words.
People may not have seen it, but
Yeah.
actually, I'll bring you to the tree. This is actually pretty fun. Let's see if I can keep the mic on too.
Oh, do you have them
Um,
on the tree like ornaments?
yeah. Yeah.
Love it.
Wait, hang on. I have to, let me just see if I
And so anyone who's joining, feel free to ask questions. Oh, love it. Okay, great. So that's what it is. Legacy. Ooh, that's a good word. What is that? Purpose. Wow. Yeah, these are good words. What's that one say? I can't see that one. What does that say? Focus. Oh, yeah, those are good, man. Mindfulness. That one probably took forever to hammer. Long word. Love it. Love that you've got this. Safe. Yeah, that's really good. These are all really, really good things. That's what I love about it, is that they're these little reminders. It's a token. Um, and so the value of having that is the reminder. It's like to wear it when you move through your day. You're reminded of that decision that you made, and something that you've shared before I think is really special. I know that we talked in one of our recent meetings about taking something and putting it down. You said that you had a teacher that was like, if I'm talking, you are writing it down. You
Yeah.
know, if I'm talking, you're taking notes, you're writing it down. It's going through you and into that paper from that pen, you know. And then I remember when we were at an event, you actually were hammering, well, your company was hammering bracelets at an event that I was hosting at the Den before the Den opened. And I remember that was my first introduction to MyIntent. And I remember you explaining it to me, and you were saying it's taking something from an idea and putting an imprint into the physical world.
Yeah.
I loved how you described that.
I had someone actually at the hospital where one of the patients gifted one to the first lady, and so the director of the hospital, I forget her exact title, but basically because a lot of the patients there, the kids, it's at the National Institute of Health. They're there for a long time because they're doing a long-term treatment. So they need activities, meaningful activities for these kids. And they actually bought MyIntent kits to do with the kids. And she said, what's beautiful about this is you're taking something intangible and making it tangible.
Yeah.
Like courage is such an intangible thing, but when you see it on your wrist or around your neck, it becomes more, present for you.
Yeah, it's still a symbol. It's still just a word, but it's an activation. It's like it's not a word that just exists in our mind. It's now something that can be worn and carried out with us. So that's really, really cool.
And you're obviously very involved with Marianne Williamson, who got a lot of inspiration from A Course in Miracles, right? And I remember I've only read one page of that book, but the first page, I remember it said something to the effect of, this is a required course. The only choice is when you take it.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember in one of my medicine journeys that it dawned upon me that each word on this tree is a lesson.
Yes.
We are going to get to learn all these different lessons. It's like but you get to pick when you want to learn about strength, and you might revisit that lesson, or hope, or faith, or letting go, surrender. These are all just lessons of life. They're actually, and if you distill some of the unique words we get, they also just boil down to probably, I haven't figured out how many, and that's something I will do soon, is just build almost like a Wikipedia of these words. And, you can imagine like myintent.org/hope, and then we'll put the best of things all collected there. So if someone wants to learn about hope, there's all the resources they want.
I love that. Yeah, I love that. And I love the way that you think. You're so visionary in the way that you think. And I know that you're really generous of spirit with your energy and with your time, with the resources that you've access to. I want to just send a shout out to everyone who's on. Hey guys, feel free to say something, to ask Chris any questions. And also I'm seeing a couple people are typing words in. So feel free to type your word in. We've got optimism and focus in there. So that's good.
Any questions you have, definitely.
Yeah, I think the focus was actually because I couldn't read what was on the, but then optimism came in. So, hey, like drop your word in. Thanks, Alexandra, and thanks, Maru and Ansley and everyone who's here with us. So Chris, I want to hear, I already know about it. I could even talk about it myself, but I want to hear from you. I want to introduce to everyone what you are doing with, we got healing from Donald. Maru is saying truth. Love it. I want to let people know about the Hogwarts school that you're creating.
That we're creating, not me, we.
That we are creating. Yeah, I want, first of all, I love your approach to it. So guys, check it out. Hey, Arizu, thanks for being here. Chris is so innovative, so unique. I've worked with a lot of different people. I've partnered with a ton of different people, and I tend to kind of keep to myself. I tend to do a lot of things sort of behind the scenes. I kind of like do my thing, and I keep it really, really simple when I go into partnerships with other people, because I think relationship and connection and feeling good is more important than anything else that we can end up doing. And a lot of times business and those kinds of partnerships can sort of harm relationships. So I tend to keep to myself in those kinds of ways. But what I really loved about how Chris operates is, Chris, you are so collaborative. you're so creative, you're so genuinely open-minded. So you have this like actual expansive vision, and you know this is something that is like so advanced, and it's just sort of like how you operate. You know that you need to create leaders. It's not about you leading other people. You are creating possibility for other leaders to step in and expand and take out the message and the resources. So tell us about MyIntent Lab. Tell us about the school we're creating.
How's this music, by the way? Did you hear the music? Is it good? I love a little ambient music to kind of just. So 7 years ago, when I came down to LA, I had this idea that we would build a school, build a temple, build a church for the millennials, or for our generation of what we need, and that would be welcoming of people from every belief, every faith, every whatnot. And I think that's actually what Jesus would have wanted. Like, if you actually think about the true meaning of like Jesus wasn't Christian, Jesus was just Jesus, right?
Yeah.
And so in that spirit, I was like, I want something where all of us can come together and partake in activities that would ultimately make us better humans, like Earth School. And I knew I needed to fund it with something that was sustainable. And I was really inspired by Tom's, the one-for-one model. But I also realized this wasn't necessarily that, but I just wanted, I had this vision of a church and a gift shop. If you go to like Lake Shrine, there's a gift shop and there's a church and they take donations and whatnot. And so I wanted to have a place where the gift shop would just pay for the church. That was the vision, right? And so people, actually, one of the things I don't even like about going to church is, when they pass around that donation plate, and it's kind of that awkward moment, and it's kind of, it like interrupts right in the middle. They always put it like kind of, or maybe at the end, but it just, I'm just like, if we had a cool enough gift shop, if the gift shop was stuff that people actually wanted enough that the proceeds from the gift shop would actually pay for the services, and we wouldn't have to have a donation 5 minutes or whatever, and we could actually turn that into, and I've been really inspired by Light Watkins, with the Shine. He does this thing called the Shine On Challenge, where that time at the end is used to inspire people to go out into the world and give. Instead of kind of getting people to give to the church, it's just like, actually, no, just go out and give to the world. But the gift shop would pay for it. I mean, of course, everything needs money, right? So So that was the vision with starting with the bracelets, because it turns out that bracelets actually can have proceeds. And the proceeds can actually pay for teachers. It can actually pay for all the, the work that needs to be done. So so that was the vision for the last 7 years. And it was really during the past couple of months, it became really clear that the world's ready for this, and it really needs, the instruction, the kind of teaching that you're giving, and the kind of teaching that all of us, on all the instructors at the lab are giving, and they're all super simple. And I love the fact that your book is like practical. It's like a practical guide for meditation. Is that
Practical Meditation for Beginners?
Yes, exactly. Like, when I saw that book title, I was like, yes, you definitely are the right person. Like, there was no doubt, right? That book, Megan's book, Don't Hate, Meditate. Like, it's just, they're like literally like, we're going, because if you think about, there's a spectrum of people out there. There's like the haters to the people that are promoters, right? And like, Don't Hate, Meditate, I mean, it's literally like going after the haters, and there's a whole spectrum, and beginners is like somewhere in that area too, right? It's the beginners, because if you think about a mountain, or you think about this Christmas tree, right? There's what I call like base camp, maybe halfway up the mountain. And that's where a lot of services like the Hoffman and other places are playing, like Tony Robbins, a lot of that. It's like for people that already are into the stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I saw a massive gap at the bottom of the mountain.
Mm.
There's so much cloud. Like, I feel like what happened with Corona is it blew out the cloud, because I think for a lot of people, they were so distracted, they didn't even realize there was a mountain to climb. They were like watching sports all the time. They were partying. They were just doing other stuff. And I feel like what Corona did was it blew the just the fog out of the way, right? It woke us up, and it's starting to make us uncomfortable, because we're like, oh shit, there's a huge mountain here. Like, we can all see Mount Everest. And I think what Spirit Lab, or what MyIntent Lab, what we're building is the path to get from the base of the mountain up like a little bit of the ways.
Yeah.
And then people can go to, like, because I was talking to the Hoffman teachers, and they were saying, for them, it's a big adaptation where usually by the time they teach, the students have already done pre-work. They already know something's wrong and they're ready for change. That's like base camp, right? But there's a huge awareness that happens between just daily life and base camp. And I think that's where we can step in. And as we've talked about, it's like the YMCA on the front and a monastery on the back. You know, it's getting people that first leg up. And then if they want to go deeper, they'll do some private courses with you. They'll, you know, go get the book. They'll go do a retreat. You know, that's not what we're offering. We're offering the 101 and then the 201, 301, 401 that we can send people to
There's a
other
lot
places
of places for that. Yeah.
Tons. Yeah.
I love that bridging, and I really relate to your vision. And I think that's part of like what caused me to be so attracted to what you're doing, is that there is this, and I think you just texted me. You were like, can you teach? Like, I was like, cool, I like his style. But yeah, I really felt really connected to that idea of accessibility. Arizu was saying, so well said. Corona blew the fog away. Thanks for paving the path. Yeah, definitely love her. She's amazing. You'll love her too. She might even be a great instructor if you know if she's available or whatever. I'll do an introduction there. She's an amazing Kundalini yoga instructor. And but yeah, there's this commonality that you and I have where it's a reality, and I noticed it in subtle ways when you're talking. When I was getting ready to write my book, all of my students were so disappointed in the title, Practical Meditation for Beginners. They were like, what? You could write something so much more mystical, so much more advanced, so much more esoteric. I think it should blah, 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 blah. And then that same sort of population responded in the same way that I wrote Meditations on Christ, a 5-minute guided journal for Christians. They were like, what? A Christian book? I don't get it, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, do you know how many people there are on this planet that are not open to something? Yeah, I don't need to rewrite esoterica. There's plenty. There's plenty. If you want to get some good esoterica, I can't do better than Helena Blavatsky. I can't do better than Alice Bailey. I can't do better than the Bhagavad Gita. If you want to get esoteric, go read the King James Version of the Bible. Go read the Bhagavad Gita, you know, and go do like mystical interpretation of those texts, and, you know, go do an ayahuasca ceremony somewhere. We have no shortage of that. But what we do need is we need Walmart shoppers to know that meditation's for them too, you know, and we need Walmart shoppers to know that we don't have a judgment, that we love them, that we want to be in with them, that we want to share with them. We want to learn from them and learn with them and go on the path together with them. And that's something that you said. You said, you said on a call, and you said it so nonchalantly. You said, well, there are 30 million people without jobs right now. And it's like, that's how we have to think, really. If we want to leave an imprint, if we want to do something, we have to start to open our brains to creating those neural pathways that think on that level so that we can build ourselves up to it. Do we have 30 million followers? No, not yet. But you got to build to that place from here to there. It's not magic, it's manifesting. You know, and when you manifest something, it blossoms forth and it grows like in nature. And so I love that you're thinking about all those people that so many people aren't thinking about. So many people want to charge $5,000 or $10,000 for their course, and they're not thinking about that's nice. And sometimes you have expenses, and sometimes that's the right thing to do. But they're not thinking about those people that can't even pay for their groceries. It's just a different market.
It's just the Skid Row market versus the, you know, Beverly Hills market, right? And right. I'm all for people that charge for all this. I'm totally for it because there's a market for that. But right now, yes, there's 30 million people who are going to have hard times paying rent. So they're definitely not paying for anything.
Yeah, not anything extra.
On this stuff, yeah.
Yeah, and this would be considered extra to a lot of those people.
Oh, for sure, especially if they've never done it. Like, they need it, but if they've never done it and they're about to decide between food on the table or a meditation class, like, that's a hard, it's a hard sell. I actually had someone tell me this week that she, this is part of the giving challenge because I helped pay her rent this month. And she said, all these offers that are 30-day trials and then it converts to subscription give her anxiety. Mm-hmm. Because those things aren't really free. They're free to get you to convert. And the worst case is you love it. You love whatever platform you used, and then 30 days is up and it either automatically charges your credit card, which then you're really, stressed, or you have to cancel, which you feel bad about yourself. And so one of the commitments here is all the classes at MyIntent are always going to be free. So you don't have to worry about someone, picking up or just,
Yeah, I
it's just a
love that.
non-issue. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Had you ever been to Full Circle in Venice?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so
Back in the
yeah,
day.
several years ago, a friend of mine um, brought me in and made me the spiritual director of Full Circle Venice. And so that's what our vision was there too, was that we were going to have like a religiously pluralistic church where for the new generation, for people who could come together and live better and develop community, And I think it was a really beautiful experiment, and it was extraordinary and wonderful. But there's only so long you can pay $30,000 a month rent and offer a bunch of free everything.
Yeah.
So there is something very interesting. You definitely have overhead, but I think there is something definitely very interesting about decentralizing versus having like the real estate level of upkeep and overhead. So that we can actually be offering things on different time zones. You also said something very important. You think on a large level, and that's a really, really good thing, because there are a lot of people here that need help. We all need help. It's not to talk down on anyone. It's not like that at all. It's just that we are all in this together. And something you said was 50% of the U.S. population, or roughly 50%, is on the East Coast time zone, Eastern Standard Time. And so and I can just say, just the fact that you said that and thought like that, that's how I know that you're thinking about other people. You're thinking about reaching out to other people and figuring out, how am I going to be able to support and serve? How am I going to create something that's going to be able to be of service to the populace, to a larger population, and that's important, especially right now where politics has gotten just so gnarly. And I can't say that it's ever not been gnarly, but right now it's definitely gnarly. And we're dealing with like a whole extreme spectrum of people who think that we shouldn't have any kind of public services and everything should be privatized and turned into a public service. And so what I'm really liking is seeing just that you're sort of like creating a new way. You're sort of like stepping up and doing a different thing, where you're like, this is a private thing, but it's still totally available.
Here's my 2 cents on what you just said, which I had this insight the other day, which is capitalism in and itself is not bad. Just as an example, politics in itself is not bad. Capitalism just means private ownership versus public ownership. But we have to change the hearts of the people who are in charge, or we have to have the right people, because there are companies out there that are doing amazing things that do it with heart, but it all depends on the people in charge and also the people in the organization, right? Because they can all have a say too. So it all depends on who, if we do our jobs right and we can affect a lot of people and change or help them find and it's not even us doing the change. I think of us as we're just I don't know, we're giving everyone a facelift. We're just popping the crap out. We're just helping people get a facial for their mind and their hearts, and we're just removing everything that's not true, so that, because I think deep down inside we all want to do something good, and if we don't do something good, it's because there's been trauma and there's been hurt, and if we help remove and heal all that, then people will do the right thing. And that's kind of the belief that we've been so lucky to find people who've done the work. And so, our Sherpa meetings, as we call them, they've been so fun, right? It's like such a magical group, and there's more coming. And as we can then, get more people to kind of join, us in terms of the amount of inner work we've done, I think that will fundamentally change our world. And it doesn't have to change the systems, it's changing the people within the systems. Yeah,
definitely. And I think that's how, my new book is Christian based, like you alluded to with your Christmas tree. And within the context of Christianity, the idea is that Christ works from the inside out, and the world works from the outside in. So I think that is facilitating, just like you said in a recent Sherpa meeting, the difference between teaching and guiding. It's facilitating. A lot of times I'll say meditation facilitator. It's guiding, it's facilitating the natural awakening, the natural healing. And I like to look at it like a spectrum from like I think the old mind says you're either good or you're bad. There's a good,
Right.
bad scale. And I like to look at it as everyone's good, but there's a mature, immature scale. So you're no longer a bad person because of the dysfunctional things that you're doing. It's just immature psychology. It's immature spiritual expression that someone would be harmed, you know. And that's why, you know, we've talked a little bit about the work that I've done with, I think you came to an event about the work I had been doing, have been doing in prisons. And that's sort of when my book came out, it evolved to something that I could do more, which is distribute the books to prisons instead of me go into the prisons to do the trainings, which really was limiting. But now with a guide, you know, you can distribute it dramatically, and then they go through their own process, you know. And it's sort of like trusting nature, trusting the spirit within themselves to like actually, if you facilitate the conditions of a wound, if you clean a wound and you just facilitate the conditions, the right conditions, it will heal itself, you know. And so I think that that's a really beautiful thing that you're doing with MyIntent Lab. And so everyone, I want to recommend that you check out the schedule. Free classes: yoga, meditation, movement, breath work, inner warrior training. What was
and
that?
Now this week we're launching conversations.
And now conversations. Amazing. We need that. We need to be like hanging out with each other. That's huge. And so soon a full schedule will be launched. It's only going to just increase in its sophistication and depth. And that's myintent.org/lab. So definitely check that out. And when I put this up on YouTube, I'll put the link on the screen too, myintent.org/lab. So is there anything else you want to just like any more pearls of wisdom or thoughts before we close?
Let's see. I don't know. I've got my guitar here though. It's pretty
Maybe
fun.
a little song?
What else is? I don't know. What's coming up for you in Ohio? Tell me about. I mean, you're in my hometown, or not my hometown,
Home
but
state.
like You're in Ohio, right?
Yeah.
Like Cincinnati?
I'm in Cincinnati. Yep.
We're in Cincinnati.
Westchester.
Oh yeah, my dad actually, or my parents, they're in Blue Ash, Montgomery.
Oh, no kidding. Whoa.
Yeah, I grew up. I went to Sycamore.
Oh, I knew that. I competed with you guys on the swim team. I went to Milford, Lakota East, and Little Miami. I went to 3 high schools.
Yeah, that's amazing. How's everything in Cincinnati?
You know, it's beautiful and comfortable, and my family's doing really, really well, and things are just getting better and better.
Oh wow!
You know, Cincinnati is, and I think it's considering how many people are unemployed and how challenging it's been for people professionally and financially. I think Cincinnati's in a good space psychologically.
That's great. So the mood is when you're out. I don't know if you go out, but is the energy pretty calm?
It's good. It's calm and it's happy. And my friend is saying that they have family in Florence, Kentucky. Yeah, which is really, really close by too. I think Cincinnati is really resilient, and very self-sufficient. And I think right now to be honest, people want to get back to work. People want to get busy. I think that there is a sense that there's a widespread financial concern, which is of course not limited to this area. And so I'm making myself available as much as I can in the ways that I can while I'm here. But more than anything,
how long do you think you'll be there?
I'm really just following, I'm following, not to be too religious sounding, but I'm following the Spirit's guidance on that. Because for me, I'm finishing, I have a book coming out very soon, Meditations on Christ. I just finished another book, which comes out very soon.
What book is that?
That one's called Daily Mindfulness, and it's 365 meditations. And so it's like a calendar, and and I'm in the middle of writing another book, which comes out in October. So, so part of me is like kind of enjoying being here and being able to spend
No
a little more,
distractions.
yeah, kind of being creative zone and all of that, you know.
Yeah. Donald says we need a Reiki teacher. Sure. DM me. I'm at Chris Pan. And,
Yeah.
or send an email to lab@myintent.org and give us your background and we'll be in touch.
Yeah,
The last
that's a
thing
good
actually,
thing for anyone who might want to teach at the MyIntent lab.
yeah.
Lab@myintent.org.
Yeah, we need stuff that's fairly 101. So we need to probably rename. If we do a Reiki course, it'll be some. We'll just have to like instead of sound baths, we call them listening parties.
Yeah.
You know, like just make it very easy for people to understand what it is. The last thing I'll share is right before this whole thing happened, I started leading breath work or leading just kind of like inner warrior training down at the Midnight Mission in Skid Row.
Wow.
And one of the things that occurred to me, because I started, there were about 25 people, and I started seeing, even after the second week, there was like the quote unquote what I call the front row. There were people that really connected. They dropped in and they came up after and they're like, oh my God, I've cried for the first time in a long time. Like, what is going on? And we reassured them that this is normal and this is actually really good. And then I did a medicine journey where I was like, oh my gosh, I think that when we open up again, like I definitely want to take inner warrior training and do it there, broadcast live from there, train up a whole generation of folks from Skid Row who could go and do breath work at the prisons or at other Skid Rows or other, go to different cities, and from there, like from the City of Angels, literally send healers out to the world. And that's kind of the vision, was to use the Midnight Mission and the Unit Rescue Mission as almost like, the Soul Cycle teacher training. Right? Can you imagine, like, people who've been to the darkest of darks, they know how to take people out of it, and they know how to bring hope to others.
Yeah, because once you get healing from something, you have authority over it. You have metaphysical, spiritual authority in that area. So that's really cool. I love you.
I'd love to collaborate on the to do a prison outreach, whenever we can do something, but to make it so we can help a lot of people who are who have a lot of time and who need a lot of healing and support.
Yeah, definitely. My friend is saying that she loved the inner warrior training yesterday.
Oh, thank you. What was your favorite part?
Keep up all the good work, Chris.
Thank you so much for having. Yeah, this is amazing.
Yeah, and thanks for coming, and thanks for sharing everything. And this is going to be up on YouTube tomorrow.
Perfect. Yeah, and thank you for teaching. And we'll get you more classes if you're up for it.
Yeah, we've got a new thing that I think we're going to be whipping up. Something that I'm normally
That's right, the Sunday thing, right?
Normally. Yeah.
Let's do it.
So we'll talk more about that.
Okay. Thank you so much. Have a great day, everybody.
Yeah. Love you guys. Thank you, Chris.
Love
You're
you
the
guys.
best. Bye, everyone.